Hey guys, so I'm I'm taking another day to just do nothing. I'm not gonna do anything today, or I'm gonna keep it to like next to nothing. So this video is for entertainment and education purposes only. Any and everything I say could be wrong. So, do your own research and come to your own conclusions. So anyhow, so Styx Hexenhammer did a video on the poor, and basically talking about how, it's politics. This is politics. So he's talking about how the Democrats lost the poor. And whatever. Hold on, I'm gonna put my vest on here. Let's see. And it's kind of what I don't. People like Styx Hexenhammer. They'll go into talking about stuff like Styx don't know anything about the subject of poverty in America. I mean, he knows very little, and so like it is whatever. You see it all the time. You'll see, like, okay, for example, you'll see Tucker Carlson, right? I mean, Tucker Carlson, he admits there's recordings of Tucker Carlson where he admits that he's never had to work a day in his life. And so, and Tucker Carlson is a rich motherfucker. And you'll see Tucker Carlson go into a deep dive about the subject of homelessness in America. And then all he does is totally trash the homeless Americans and talk about how they're all, mentally ill drug addicts, degenerates, etc. But it's the same on CNN. So, Don Lemon will say the exact same thing as Tucker Carlson about, like, homeless Americans, right? And so when you're talking about the poor, that's homeless Americans is the first thing that comes to mind. I don't understand how, when the subject of poverty comes up, how people can just totally remove the homeless and think of the poor as some other group than the homeless. But that's exactly what people do. And that's what Styx did in this video. He's like talking about the poor, and he's like, well, the homeless, I know that most of them are just, lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant degenerates who failed to take personal responsibility for their lives. But we're not talking about the homeless, we're talking about the poor. What? You see how that doesn't make so there's the poor and then there's the homeless. What? No. The homeless are the poor, you dumb, retarded idiots. How can you be that fucking stupid? But that's the new normal. Stupidity, idiocracy is the new normal. And so these are the experts. This is what the experts say. Is that, well, homeless aren't poor people. Those are just lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant degenerates. So when we're talking about the poor, we're not talking about homeless, because homeless are just, drug addict, mentally ill people. So they don't fall into the classification of poor. And the people that are telling you this, like Styx Hexenhammer, Tucker Carlson, Don Lemon, and you can go down the list. I mean, they're all of these guys. Richie from Boston, they all say the same fucking thing. about homeless. Any of you who claim to be, you can recognize patterns. I challenge you to recognize this pattern. I don't care. It could be the Martinez perspective says the same thing as Don Lemon, says the same thing as Styx Hexenhammer, says the same thing as Tucker Carlson. Yet somehow there's some big difference between these medias, between the alt-tech and mainstream media. No, there isn't. They say the same fucking thing when it comes to homeless. Well, that's because what they're saying is true, angry hobo. You see what I mean? Like, and you have to wonder, why would they all be in consensus on this one particular thing only, homelessness? Whereas in all this other stuff, oh, they're going to debate and there's going to be all these different views, but when it comes to homeless, they all agree. Homeless are all just lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant, degenerates who failed to take personal responsibility for their lives through poor life decisions. That's what's so wonderful about being a Gamma. We're not too stupid and we're not too bright. To be a Gamma is to be just right. See, okay, here's an example of where a bunch of opposing forces will all agree on one thing. Antarctica. You know, all these opposing countries all over the world that are fucking warring with each other and all this other shit. You know what? The one thing that they all agree on, one thing, is nobody is allowed into Antarctica. Nobody's allowed. That's, you know, if the world police are going to enforce that nobody is allowed to step foot in the Antarctica. And it doesn't that make you kind of wonder, like, well, if these countries are all in opposition to each other and they're all fighting, why is it that there's only this one thing that they're all in consensus on? And that is that nobody's allowed in Antarctica. And all these warring countries, they're all going to band together and enforce this global law that nobody's allowed in Antarctica. Doesn't it make you like wonder, like, well, why, if all these countries are in opposition to each other, why would they all agree on this one, like, cryptic thing? There's no real clear, like, why? Why do you all agree on enforcing this law that no one is allowed in the Antarctica? Could it be that that's where all the gold is? Well, it's the same thing with homelessness. You know, Republicans versus Democrats, yet Republicans and Democrats all agree on one thing, that homeless Americans are all just lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant, degenerates who failed to take personal responsibility for their for their lives. They agree with that as much as they agree the sky is blue. The sky is blue and all homeless are lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant, degenerates who failed to take personal responsibility for their lives. And that's it. No questions asked. Anybody that asks questions is a retard. Anybody that questions this is stupid. Just like anybody that questions, well, why won't you allow anyone, why do you all agree that no one's allowed in the Antarctica? Is it because that's where all the gold is? Oh, you're not allowed to ask that question. Everybody dogpile. Start the upvote, downvote system that is totally not rigged, and totally downvote that and ignore these crazy people who are asked questions about Antarctica. Just ignore all these people. They're all crazy. So why is it that everybody, no matter whether they're a fascist, a communist, a Democrat, a Republican, an atheist, a Christian, a Jew, a German, boy, they all agree on this one thing. And what is it? Oh, just any and all homeless people are all just lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant, degenerates who failed to take personal responsibility for their lives through poor life decisions. That's all. And the sky is blue. But everything else, oh, we got to debate. There's debate. Oh, no, you're right and we're wrong. We're right and you're wrong. You know, all these people breaking off into warring factions arguing amongst each other about who's right and who's wrong. They all agree on this one thing. All homeless people are just lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant degenerates who fail to take personal responsibility for their lives through poor life decisions. Oh, and the sky is blue. What? You see, and I've been questioning this just on these video hosting platforms alone for 8 years nonstop. I'm like, why does everybody agree that all homeless people are lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant degenerates who fail to take personal responsibility for their lives through poor life decisions? Why? Why does everybody, all these opposing people, they can all agree on that one thing? And that the sky's blue. Again, why is it that every country worldwide all agree on one thing? That nobody is allowed into the Antarctic? Is it because that's where all the gold is? Could it be? No. Could there be some other reason why everybody, whether they're a fascist, a communist, an atheist, a Christian, a Democrat or a Republican, no matter who they are and how much they oppose each other, they all agree on one thing: that all homeless people are just lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant degenerates who fail to take personal responsibility for their lives through poor life decisions. So like Styx, right? I guess, maybe I could give them some credit for at least bringing the subject up instead of completely ignoring it. But the thing is, when they bring it up, it's always the same. Well, let's talk. Okay, so here it is. Styx is like, okay, I want to talk about the poor in this video. Okay, but first I gotta say, I understand, I understand, like everyone else, that, most homeless people are they're just drug addicts that are mentally ill. I'm not going to argue with you there, but I'm talking about the poor, not the homeless. What the? So what is it with all this tap dancing about homelessness? Everything is a tap dance. Well, guys, if I'm going to talk about the poor, first I want to say, I know that all homeless people, they're just mental ill drug addicts, okay? When I'm going to talk about the poor, I'm not talking about the homeless, I'm talking about the poor. And nobody's questioning, why is there this constant tap dancing? It begs further investigation where someone with a critical mind is going to look at this and be like, something is off here. Something is like really off here. But nobody questions it. Everybody agrees. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No. Nobody should be allowed in the Antarctic. Well, why not? Well, because everybody in the world agrees that nobody should be allowed in the Antarctic. That's why. What are you stupid? Well, but why? Well, why? Well, how come? Why is it so important that nobody is allowed into the Antarctic? Well, because Trump and Biden and even Obama and Gorbachev and anybody that's anybody all agrees that nobody should be allowed into the Antarctic. That's why, dummy dum dum poo 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 poo. What are you, a stoopy poop 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 poop? Don't what? It's the same thing. It's like wait, hold on. Where is the proof that all or most homeless people are just totally mentally ill, drug addicts? Is there any proof of this? Where's the proof? How come nobody ever asks for proof of that statement? And the burden of proof is on any and everyone who claims, most homeless people, they are just really just mentally ill drug addicts. Okay, but see, the burden of proof is on you. Where's the proof? Prove it. Oh, well, yeah, all you have to do is look around. Oh, okay, all I have to do is look around. Okay, well, I'm on BitChute, and I see all these people that aren't homeless that are screaming for the death of the Jews and claiming that there's Jewish space lasers everywhere and that there's interdimensional beings flooding our dimension through CERN. And I see all these totally retarded people that are like obviously mentally ill, and they're not homeless. And then I look at the government and I see people like Joe Biden are running the fucking country, and I see Nancy Pelosi. These people are obviously fucking completely insane. Like, where are you the poster child of mental well-being? Where is this mentally well person that everybody keeps implying exists? What, is it Joe Biden? Is it Trump? Is it Bill Clinton? Is it Obama? Is it Hillary Clinton? Where is this mentally healthy person that everybody keeps talking about? Is it Ronald Reagan? Is it Bill Clinton? Is it Obama? Is it George Bush? Is it George Bush Sr.? Where is this picture of a mentally well person? Is it Richie from Boston? Where is this person? Oh, but but really what I want to make sure to let you know, guys, if I'm going to be talking about mental health is that, most homeless people, they're just mentally ill. Well, what are you? If they're mentally ill, what are you? You're like Joe Biden? You're like Bill Clinton? You're like George Bush? You're like Trump? Where are you in the spectrum? Or are you just like right in the middle? You're not too stupid and you're not too bright. To be gamma is to be just right. That's what mental wellness is. I'm not like Joe Biden, and I'm not like the homeless guy eating out of a dumpster. I'm just right. That's what's so wonderful about being a gamma. We're not too stupid and we're not too bright. To be a gamma is to be just right. And all homeless people are just lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant degenerates who fail to take personal responsibility for their lives through poor life decisions. And the sky is blue, and nobody's allowed on Antarctica. What? None of this makes any sense. Do you not see? And it begs the question, why would you have this worldwide mass of people who are insistent on two things? Either completely ignore all homeless people entirely, and when not ignoring them, everybody parrot the same thing. Well, homeless people are all lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant degenerates who fail to take personal responsibility for their lives. What is going on here? Meanwhile, Trump is the president. Biden's the president. Kamala's the vice president. So where is this mentally well, sober person? Okay, so to be a drug addict is bad. And to be mentally ill is bad, because that's what those homeless people, they're just mentally ill and they're just drug addicts. But Joe Biden isn't a drug addict. Okay. Kamala Harris isn't a drug addict. Nancy Pelosi isn't a drug addict. All these people in the Republican Party, none of them are drug. Sticks Hexenhammer isn't a drug addict. Okay, Joe Biden isn't mentally ill. George Bush isn't mentally ill. But those homeless people, they're mentally ill drug addicts. But like Sticks Hexenhammer, he's not a mentally ill drug addict. Can somebody show me if we're going to be talking about mentally ill drug addicts, can somebody point me to the person that is mentally sound and is not a fucking drug addict? Where is this person? Is it Jesus? Because I haven't seen Jesus. I mean, if I have, I didn't know it was Jesus. Like, where is this person that is not a drug addict and is mentally well? Where? Is it you? You're that person. Well, yeah, that's what's so wonderful about being a Gamma. We're not too stupid and we're not too bright. To be a Gamma is to be just right. So you're just right. You're just right. And all homeless people are mentally ill drug addicts. And all the people on the world stage, they're all evil. They're all just evil. Bill Gates and Fauci and Jim Bezos and Trump, and they're all evil. And all the homeless people are evil. But that's what's so wonderful about being a Gamma. That's what's so. Don't you see? That's what's so wonderful about being a Gamma. Is that all the people in power, they're all evil. They're all evil. And all the homeless people, they're all evil. But a Gamma's just right. I'm just right. So the picture of the poster child of the mentally well, sober person who's not a drug addict with mental illness is the Gamma. We're not too stupid and we're not too bright. To be a Gamma is to be just right. And all homeless people are just lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant, degenerates who fail to take personal responsibility for their lives through poor life decisions. And we are the 99%. They're the 1% in their ivory towers. That's what's so wonderful about being a Gamma. See you, boys.